Thank you, Dave. And we are in Pocono, in the Pocono Mountains, here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, as we get ready for qualifying the Monster Energy Cup Series. And this is a racetrack where everyone calls it the Tricky Triangle. It only has 3 turns, so it's shaped like a triangle. I got a couple drivers up here that know exactly what it's like to go around this track. What are we expecting to see in qualifying? How do you turn the fastest lap here?
I think what's interesting for me is that in round 1, will anybody try to save a little bit of tire? You know, or do they have enough speed to not run, 100%, maybe run 95%? We've seen Kyle Busch do that some. I don't know if, well, I don't know. I know I wouldn't be brave enough to do that because I wasn't good enough to do that. Yeah. But I think that, to me, for the first round, who has speed and who can make the right adjustment going into the next round?
Yeah, I think drivers are going to say after each run, well, I think I could have did better here or there, and most of them are going to comment on that tunnel turn. The guys that can get that corner just right, hit that corner just right, are going to make up so much more time on the people who miss it coming out of that corner down that straightaway into turn 3. So I'm looking, as a driver, I'm worried about doing my job in the tunnel turn and the car doing the job at the rest of the racetrack. Okay,
so as a driver, again, you went through 2 practices and you saw Kevin Harvick look like he was in a field all his own. How do you mentally prepare for this qualifying session, and can anyone beat him for the pole here today?
Well, we're not racing today, and the race pace, certainly Kevin Harvick appeared to have everybody beaten, but he was not the fastest here. Joey Logano actually ran the fastest lap. So, if you're Joey Logano or other people, maybe he has a weakness. Maybe he's not as strong in qualifying trim, and really all you can do, though, is focus on you and your team, go as fast as you can, and you can't control what he can do.
He has great speed in race trim, he does, but in qualifying trim, I think that it's really, we might see Joey or Penske or one of those other Fords up there to get the pole, and we'll just see how it works out. But so far in race trim, I don't think anybody's got anything for the 4 car.
All right, well, as you mentioned, we race tomorrow, so we'll set the field today. Qualifying is coming up. We're also going to visit with Steve Letarte, who's hanging out at the Peacock Pit Box. He'll tell us all about the Tricky Triangle when we come back. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast.
Amazing to be a part of this group.
A tremendous battle for the lead rages on.
Inside, still there.
It doesn't take much, just that bobble.
Good run right there. Way better. Go get him here. He's going high.
Harvick around the outside for the lead.
Hell yeah, boys. How about that? That's it, bro. You get him, man. You close enough.
Truex dives low into the inside of Harvick.
Hell yeah, boys. That's awesome. Do what you got to do to win.
Shoves Kyle Busch up out of the racing group.
I was holding his ass up in case you weren't watching.
Now the big 3 have dominated 2018. Martin Truex actually won this race at the Tricky Triangle back in the spring. So the question is, what makes Pocono a Tricky Triangle? First, and clearly, it's the track layout. So you see this satellite image of the racetrack. We're right down here on pit road, which happens to be adjacent to the longest front stretch in NASCAR. At the end of the longest front straightaway, the most banked corner here in Pocono, turn 1. You see, it's well over 130 degrees. You got to completely change directions, 16 degrees, 1 downshift, a lot of load on the race car. Then you head down the second longest straightaway to the tunnel corner. It's named that way, obviously, because it goes over the tunnel. The other interesting thing, 90 degrees. If you compare the 2 straightaways, that is a 90-degree corner. And then the most difficult corner in my mind, turn 3. You see just how long the corner is. It's the longest, the flattest, and in my mind, the most important, guys, because if you can't get through turn 3, then you don't have a great run down the longest straightaway, which is where, in my mind, all the time's made up.
Crew chiefs always say turn 3 is the most important. You can either lose speed that you'll have to drag all the way down the front stretch, or you can gain it. Cars will roll next. Monster Energy qualifying from Pocono Raceway about to get underway. The clock about to start ticking on this first round. As you see, group qualifying format, 15 minutes for the first round, 10 minutes for the second round, and then just 5 minutes for the final round. We'll break it down from everyone trying to break into that top 24 down to the fastest 12, and then that last round determines the pole and the top 12 starting positions. Green flag for qualifying means the clock has now started for that 15 minutes. And what do we expect here? Such a big track. You're going to have multiple cars spread out around this track. Shouldn't be affecting each other too much.
Yeah, I think this would be a difficult decision whether to go early or sit and wait. Time of day, I don't think the track's really going to cool down very much.
We've seen guys cycle tires in practice and actually go faster, so you're not worried about a lot of fall off if you don't have a great run the first time out. But I always like to wait a little bit till we saw at least one car we believed in, put down a lap, kind of know where we needed to be. And that is a driver, because I know how hard I drove in practice. That can tell me, all right, the track's this much faster, I need to drive in the corner this much further. I can trust the car's going to have more grip than we had earlier today in practice. So seeing somebody put a lap down gives you an understanding. Is the track quicker? Is it not quicker? Do I need to adjust my inputs a little bit?
I tell you, Rick, from down in the pit box, my number one concern here at Pocono is timing. With down to 13.5 minutes, we see the first car go by me here, and now we see the 96 off from turn 3. It takes over a minute to leave pit road and come back around to take the green, then a minute for your lap, and then over a minute to come back. Plus, you have to cool the engine dramatically to run full tape. So as we ride along here on this helmet cam, that's my biggest concern, is just how long it takes to make a run. If things don't go right, you might not have time for a second run.
Jeffrey Earnhardt, we ride along with. Extreme Concepts joining them for quite a few races to end out this 2018 season, but giving us a great perspective. And this is a scary turn, I think, when you come down into turn 2.
195
all you see is a wall.
As approaching turn 3. Steve talked about how important it is. Well, look how long this corner is, and it has the least amount of banking. And then, to Steve's point, look at this front straightaway. It's so long you can't even see turn 1. And if you don't get off a 3-well, it kills you all the way down that front straightaway.
So why wouldn't you try to draft? Because the draft would help you, wouldn't it, at this racetrack?
Well, I think you would get more harm by the lack of downforce in the corners than you would be able to make up with the draft. Okay. So
we see the 12 of Blaney finishing up his lap, 51.94. Joey Logano earlier ran a 51.02. So we're going to compare everything to that.
Well, and Blaney ran a 51.60 in practice, so 0.3 off of what he ran in practice, Marty.
And Jeff, much warmer than it was in practice earlier today. You saw Ryan Blaney get the lap out of the way. Jeremy Bolins wanted to do that. You see the traffic at the end of pit road. Kevin Harvick at the back of that line, riding Childress, saying, hey, I don't want to mess around. As Steve mentioned, it's going to go quick here with only 11:30 left. It's not a quick lap like it was last week at New Hampshire. It takes a while to get this green flag lap in qualifying. So all these cars kind of positioning here at the end of pit road. They don't want to be left out, Steve.
So you see Blaney's lap. We talked about it being a little bit slower than what he ran in practice. And if we get in maybe another car or two to trust and understand what kind of lap time they run, as a crew chief or as a driver, I'd want to hear from my crew chief that the track is slower. There's less grip. Don't overdrive the corner. Don't overdrive the entrance to turn 1, because there's not going to be any more grip there than you've had earlier today. Typically when we go to qualify, the track is going to pick up later in the day, but we're not seeing that right now. So I would want to hear that. Hey, the track's not faster. Be careful and don't overdrive the entry to turn 1. If you make that mistake early, the lap's ruined. And
so this is Austin Dillon. He ran a 51.72, and he just ran a 51.77. So his car would indicate that it's about the same.
Yeah.
Certainly, the one thing from a driver standpoint to what you're saying is now that it's not huge pickup.
Yeah.
Some racetracks we go to, you can pick up 6 or 7 tenths from practice qualifying, and that's not going to happen here today. Not in this race.
So if I look at the combined practices earlier, 24th was Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at 52.26. If you run somewhere in the 52.26 range, you should feel comfortable that you're going to be in the top 24 in advance to the second round.
I would not be that comfortable.
Really? At 52.26?
I think I'd want a 50. I'd want a 50. 51.9 or maybe even a 51.8 to feel comfortable.
Okay.
But I'm not saying the 26 won't make it, but that would be borderline and some concern there. But
here's another sample, Paul Menard.
We're at a 51.
He picked up a lot.
Wow.
He ran a 52.37 in practice, so he picked up a lot, but maybe he didn't make a Q run.
Right.
You know, some people with this format didn't make Q runs in practice.
William Byron out on the track now. '20-year-old out of Charlotte, North Carolina, has already put the car second quickest of those that have been out on the track. 10 have been out there.
And a big pickup for him from practice.
Kevin Harvick has been strong since they rolled it off of the hauler earlier this morning.
Let's watch his shift pattern, see how early he shifts. He seems to be an early shifter. Well before he gets back in the throttle. Now he's in the throttle. Some people shift right before they go back to the throttle.
So he's using it to brake the car as well?
He's using it for a little bit of braking, and also it lets him just focus on driving the car. I mean, for me, I wanted to shift early for braking, but also to get my mind on not shifting and get it on when I could accelerate.
You see the onboard there, riding along with Kevin. He works his way through 3. Gander, outdoor on board.
Oh, he got a little loose right there. A little late to the gas, cost him a little time. He was aiming for a, sub 50-second lap.
He is still a half a second faster than what Menard had run.
That car's got a 50.9 or a 50.8 in it.
I say even a 50.7 or 6.
Yeah.
So he had a big bobble there.
So we mentioned Logano was the fastest in the final practice earlier today. He just ran a lap that's a half a second slower than what Harvick just ran, and he was fastest on the day. So we're seeing once again Kevin Harvick look very strong at this racetrack, and this is a racetrack where we've documented it. He has not won. He has not won at Pocono. He has not won at Kentucky.
Run second here quite a bit.
Yeah, 4 times.
He's had great cars and great speed here.
His teammates, we saw the 10 and the 14 on the screen, and now we're seeing Brad Keselowski and the 2 out there as well.
And those guys went 5th and 6th. I think that's plenty safe.
The 51.9, Matt Kenseth ran that. He's currently 10th. We're talking about those numbers, 52 flat. Michael McDowell, expecting them to be pushed down the list right now. Jimmy Johnson out on track as well, making his 600th start this weekend. Brad Keselowski second quickest, and now it's becoming a Ford parade up front. Harvick, Keselowski, Logano, Menard, 4 Fords in the top 4 positions. William Byron separating the group a bit in 5th. Then it's Clint Boyer and Eric Almirola. The top 7, 6 of the 7 are blue ovals. Jamie McMurray, we'll see what he can do coming out of 3.
Only a half a second off of first place isn't very good, but today that's 7th.
Suarez jumps up to 3rd with that lap. Kelly.
Well, we heard Steve say his biggest concern would be time in this qualifying session. Crew chief Eric Gale here on the 20, Chris Gale here on the 20 of Eric Jones told me it was the setup of these cars for the impound qualifying. They don't even get to run the low fuel loads they normally would. He told me he thought that would be very interesting. Also thought they had a 5th to 8th place car. He's feeling really confident about that 20.
Kurt Busch is on a decent lap here. It's obviously not faster than Harvick, but compared to the rest of the field, it's going to be a good lap. I think making him and his team pretty happy. And Eric Jones was good in practice, puts down a good lap.
Yeah, we got the report from Kelly about Eric Jones, and I think too, he was the last-minute substitute driver for that truck race.
Yes.
Noah Gragson got sick, and he ended up sitting in it. Not a lap of practice, finished 2nd. So Kyle Busch loose off of the tunnel.
Who won that truck race?
It's a big transition to go from one car to the next. But he did good in both series.
And guys, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. went out, tried to make a lap. He did not finish that lap. He told Brian Patty he almost wrecked it. The car extremely loose, so they aborted the lap. So they're trying to get it in here, cool it down. You see the clock ticking down for 50. This is one of those teams, obviously, on that cut line they desperately need to qualify well here at Pocono, but already a little misstep here in qualifying in round 1.
And Marty, most times in most tracks, I would say finish the lap anyway. We're already out there. We've already done the damage. But I like that call here at Pocono because it just takes so much time to cool down and come back in. If you're going to abort, come on in, start working on the engine, get it cool for the second run.
Well, it's already been proven. Junior, you mentioned that it would take faster than a 52.20 to stay in the top 24. Right now, it's a 51 or 52.11 that is on that cut line. We still haven't seen Martin Truex Jr. finish a lap yet. We know that he's going to be very fast.
You know, the three best cars that have yet to lay down a time is Newman, Darrell Wallace Jr., Truex, and of course, we know Stenhouse Jr. did not make a run as well. So if you're 10th and 21st.
At a 51.99, what do you think?
You're right there.
Pull it back up to the end of pit road just to make sure.
Yeah, I think so. You got you got the potential, maybe a couple guys, not many, maybe a few guys trying to better their lap, and one or two maybe possibly doing that. You just don't know. When these guys go out and run, you can't guarantee that they had clean laps and that they drove well. They could have made huge mistakes, and you know, go out there and better their time. So you can be sure that that's all that everyone has that you're seeing on the board. We all seen Harvick have his mistake and still on the pole at a 51.8. You can imagine everybody in the field could have thought about their lap and done something a little bit different, a little bit better.
And again, we're comparing now to A.J. Allmendinger, who's 24th. Truex in the green, has about a 1/10 of a second. Climbing now as he gets ready to go into the tunnel turn.
Harvick would have been about a half a second up on Allmendinger at this point to compare laps.
But looking good. Truex still going the right direction. 4/10 of a second now better. And up to that half second you mentioned. Quite a few in the green. Darrell Wallace Jr. and Ryan Newman also bettering what Allmendinger.
See, Truex got into turn 3 a little bit slow, but look what it does to him. Look at that number just continue to fall. He was able to carry that momentum once he got on the throttle all the way down the front straightaway to the start-finish line, moved him up to 5th.
Looks like Darrell Wallace and Ryan Newman real close.
And Darrell Wallace is going out turn 3, so he's got a great run out of that corner. This is going to make make the top 24. So
he's got to be far enough ahead though, because right behind him Newman's going to
throws in 21st. It's pretty good.
Sure enough. Busher now 24th. He drops down. Kenseth is 24th. Newman all the way up to 6th with that lap.
As predicted, there's the Matt Kenseth dilemma. What do you do? And I think that I didn't think you have to run again. I think you just have to go down there and just make another lap.
Stenhouse Jr. still has yet to go. He's going to have to roll here quickly.
Matt putting the gloves on, so they're going to try to make a lap. They're going to get ready to anyways.
And again, they have to be back to the flag before the clock runs out. He has a minute 25 still to do that.
It's a long way around this racetrack, so you can't mess around long. It takes forever just to get back to the start-finish line here. Blaney is 23rd, and he's rolling off pit road right now. Going to make a run, or at least take the start-finish line, at least get to the green to be eligible.
So this is potentially a teammate knocking a teammate out. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. of Roush Fenway will try to bump the 6 of Kenseth. Marty.
And Rick, it was such a tough decision for the 12 team and for Jeremy Bullins, but they sent Ryan Blaney onto the racetrack. They were worried someone might knock them down, so why not take the lap? But that's a really difficult decision. They may run an extra lap that they didn't want to on tires, but they may not have had a choice.
Yeah, Marty, and I really think they can watch the 17. If the 17 doesn't better Kenseth, then I think Blaney can abort the lap. You see Blaney on the right side of the screen taking the green. Well, even if you give up a corner or two, you see the 17 on the left side of your screen. Well, he's coming out of turn 3, trending poorly. I think at this point, Blaney could call the lap off, but it's very difficult to make that decision from pit road, not understanding where everyone is around this big racetrack. It's easy to lose track of a race car.
He can make it right now, though, Steve. The time is up right now. He just laid his time down, and so now the 12 done. There you go. There you go. So they got the official time from Stenhouse Jr. Knew he couldn't beat him, and so then that's when they called it off.
And Jeff, listen, we laugh and we make judgment calls all the time, but that's 2 corners, right? He didn't run the tunnel, didn't run turn 3 at speed. that might be the difference. Maybe that's worth 2 or 3 spots in this next round. So you got to take advantage of everything possible.
Does it surprise you, though, that Blaney, who was on the pole here earlier this year, barely makes it in to round 2? He was 23rd. Harvick fastest in round 1. Monster Energy Cup Series qualifying from Pocono underway. Round 1 is complete. That means that positions 25 through 40 are now set. Chris Buescher, the closest to advancing to round 2, but not getting all the way there. All the way down to Atlantic Castle, Sorensen, Cloud, and Hill. Marty.
Well, it wasn't the qualifying lap. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won it. We saw you make the first attempt, Ricky. What happened on that, the one you aborted?
Yeah, just car's not driving very good, and it has no speed. So we're really just struggling. We struggled all day today. We came here with, hopes of being better, but right now we're not very much different than what we were the first time we came here this year. So that's frustrating, but we'll go to work on it and see if we can't, just somehow manage to gain some points tomorrow during the race. Brian's really good at that, so we'll see how it works out.
They came in trying some things today, but obviously not working out for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who will start 30th tomorrow.
He said 2 things. The car's not very good, and we're not very fast. As a race car driver, I would say that might be the 2 worst things you could do when you show up at a racetrack. NASCAR t-shirts, twill jackets, hats, die casts, they're all at the NASCAR shop. All you have to do is visit NASCAR.com/shop for all of your favorite drivers' gear. Saw a lot of different gear all around the racetrack, including Chris Buescher gear, who, by the way, Chris won at this racetrack hanging out with Steve Letarte on the Peacock Pit Box.
Rick, I told you the pit box was the place to be. So first of all, Chris, thanks for wandering down and hanging out with us. Tell us about your qualifying. Right there on the outside of the top 24.
Yeah, that was really tight for us. I think we had the speed to get it done.
Right.
I didn't get through 2 as good as I needed to. And
which one's 2 now? We got 3 turns here.
So 2's the tunnel turn.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. We actually, so we've talked about the teams have this as well, but we have the overlay of your lap versus others. So we are here. We have that look of you and Ken's. If you talk about the tunnel, we'll see right here. Just as you mentioned, so this is coming out of 1, it looks like. Now we're heading down to the tunnel. No, that was the tunnel. Now we're heading up to turn 3. So just like you said, you didn't need to see the overlay. You already knew.
I knew. We didn't get our lap in practice. We had a caution come out right when we started our lap.
Yep.
And so just a little bit of the unknown, and I just didn't get enough. I knew it. As soon as I did it, the car turned really good, but it turned to the bottom too soon.
You almost made it back. I mean, look at that. You almost made it back off 3.
We got off of 3 really good. The most important corner here.
Oh! Do you all hear that? What did he say?
I think he said 3 was the most important
corner. They tried to tell me 1 and 2. 3 was my corner. So I want to talk about the schedule. This is a track, as Rick said, you've got to win at. But this is new now. A 2-day show here. All the practice today. You already have to present the car for qualifying. Is that a challenge?
I think for the crews more than anything, I enjoy the shows like this. This is how we grew up racing. We used to do 1-day shows. You do practice twice, qualify, and race at night. And you'd be at the track from 6 a.m. till midnight half the time. So I'm used to it. I like it. It is tough on the teams, though, to get here at 6 a.m. and they're going to be here until just about dark tonight. So it is difficult for everybody to stay focused and stay in this thing all day.
Well, I'm glad you're hanging out. If you don't mind, we're going to go through the second round. We see the 88 right here with that Eagles paint scheme. He's now on the clock through turn 1. So you mentioned turn 3 you feel is the most difficult, but you got through there very well. What are the conditions these guys fighting here qualifying? You were just out there.
Yeah, right now, the beginning of qualifying was a little bit of an unknown with all the truck rubber. Typically after a caution or after a race like that, you got to give it a little bit of time to pick that rubber up, I feel like. And, we were waiting for it and got out at a good time, and now that's gone. Now it's go out there. I think historically the earlier cars out in these second and third sessions are actually going faster than the guys that are going later. We're starting to see that more and more. So, I think they got the right call here to go out, get this lap in, and get it done early.
Well, it's funny you say that. Kurt Busch, first guy out in the last round last week, and he sat on the pole at New Hampshire. Alex Bowman with a 51.7. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that's going to hold up unless Kevin Harvick has slowed down, but he seems to be the car to beat here. What's he going to run? Oh my goodness, sub 51 seconds. That's a quick lap.
That was a lot of green on the screen in the tracker zone until he put that lap up. And now we get a lot of reds. That's going to be a very tough lap to beat right there.
So explain to the fans round 2, this multi-round qualifying. Remember, it used to be one lap and done for the folks at home that are newer to this. Now you have to go out and make multiple runs. Do you think it's an advantage for drivers like, say, Kurt Busch here? He's already got one run. He has a little bit better understanding what his car may do.
Yeah, I think when you look at the old qualifying, it used to be you had to get the setup right and you had to get your line right away. And like for me today, if we'd have made second round, I know I could have done better the second time. And so I think a lot of these guys feel like they can do the same thing. They can go out here and improve on where they missed it. They have all kinds of data in the car that they're looking at on the tablets to figure out, you know, like the overlay you just showed.
So they can look at that
time.
As soon as they run?
Almost instantly.
Wow.
It is very quick for a lot of teams. And it's something that is very useful. I mean, it's something that you can look at as you come in for that run and figure out where you need to go faster. That's a lot more green up on the screen.
I'm amazed compared to Harvick, and we still have some guys in the green.
So, Chris, one thing, this is Jeff, one thing that Junior and I were talking about a little bit ago is we like to go a little bit later so we understand the pace of the racetrack as the racetrack picked up. And then even in the second round, are the tires better the second lap or not? Do you like to do that, or you just like to go?
Yeah, for the first round, I definitely like to wait it out and get an idea of where the racetrack went from practice. And, you know, you never know. Sometimes it picks up in the evenings. Today, I think originally it was a little bit slower, but we're seeing speeds way up there now. So I'm not really sure where I'd want to go out, but I do like waiting a little bit.
Guys, William
That is a monster lap by William Byron.
Wow.
Yes, wow is right.
How about that?
I mean, I'm shocked. We've seen the 4 be the talk of the garage. He best everything we measured throughout practice. And now William Byron, the youngster, Chris, knocks him off. That has to be a huge boost for this 24.
Yeah, that's a lap right there. That's quick. You know, I didn't expect to see anything below the 51s for qualifying. So this is definitely an improvement here. And Eric Jones is still in the green to that.
So do you think, this is an argument we have, and we're not sure we have the answer, do you think anybody has the ability to hold any back in round 1?
I think so.
You think you can kind of judge what you need?
I think when you get to a certain point, I think you have that option. You can go out there and run 95%. It's not something you get to take it easy, but you don't have to absolutely push to the extent of the tire, all that the tires can take to be able to get it.
Guys, I like the look of this 20 off turn 4, Jeff. I think he's in the green as well.
Yeah, he opened up that exit. It really helped him on the front straightaway. Now he's the P1. The question is, are they just making Harvick and those guys mad? now they're going to be working hard on their car. You know, I said when he had that big slip in the first round, he still ran a 51 flat. I said, man, he's probably got a 70 or 60 in that car as big as he slipped. And, you know, you might have to run an 80 in this next round to sit on the pole.
Yeah, I think so. You know, we don't know whether he made another mistake or missed a turn in this round as well, and that could have cost him a little bit more time on this run. But it's looked like it's definitely tightened up. You know, we saw in the top 5 the first round, 5th was about 3/10 back. Now the top 10 are within 3/10. So as these guys get more laps or more opportunities to go out there and run, like Chris said, they fine-tune how they're getting around that track and try to eliminate those mistakes as they get opportunities to run. And we're seeing the field narrow up a little bit.
And this lap by Boyer is not exactly what he was hoping for. This will be close to being a top 12 or not. 14th.
Outside. Yep.
Blaney 13th.
Kyle Busch back out on the track now for this round. Kyle Busch, we mentioned Eric Jones was just out there and ran the truck race literally within about an hour and a half ago. And then Kyle Busch, also involved in that race, won the race. So a little extra track time for these guys.
And Rick, one thing that I was reading through the rules with this impound procedure, that these drivers are going to be able to put brand new tires on as we see Kyle Busch goes to 10th to start the race. So as a race car driver, Chris, can you tell the difference with this impound where you have to qualify your race setup? Is it any different from behind the wheel?
You know, not really. You're going to push the car in qualifying to its limit. You're always going to go faster when we go into Q trim just from the downforce, from mocking up. Whether we change everything on the car into a full qualifying setup or if we run our race setup, it really doesn't affect a whole lot of qualifying. And I think a lot of times it really doesn't change the order too much.
It's interesting. We're now comparing to 12th. Truex is right on the line here in 12th position, but we have 2 cars. Jimmy Johnson within a 10th. The 10th is easily made up around this racetrack. I mean, you made up 2 tenths in this last corner alone. We'll see how Jimmy Johnson gets through that corner. Ooh, it's close. I don't know if he got a good enough run. Looks like maybe status quo.
Just couldn't quite get the power down up off the corner there.
So we've talked all weekend about shifting and technique. So the upshift is pretty standard. Everybody does it the same way. But how about the downshift? Are you one of those drivers that likes to get it accomplished right away? Do you wait till you're farther down in the corner? What's your technique?
Yeah, we, you know, with the data that we have now, you can see that with all the drivers. And I didn't realize there were so many different ways to do it before. But yeah, I'm one that tries to get it out of the way pretty early. But try and give it just that split second to get out of the really high RPM range. You know, trying not to over rev it on those downshifts. So I feel like, you know, we have a comfortable spot that works for me. Use some engine braking, getting our Scott Products Camaros A1 down in the corner by getting that shift over early. And then also being able, exactly, be able to get off the brakes a little bit and actually let the car free roll, not keep it so bound up. And there's a completely different thought process that some guys do. They downshift right before they feed throttle or even at the same time to be able to minimize that throttle blip that you get in your braking zone.
So here in qualifying, we're seeing a lot of shifting in 1 and 3. Not surprising. Maybe not as much across the tunnel when the tires are new. How do you judge that? You go into the tunnel, how is it just a gut feel like, man, I need third gear here?
I decided beforehand this time, and I think it's very minimal of people that are shifting in qualifying because the corner it's more of a momentum corner. The downshift helps you turn. The engine braking helps put the car in the racetrack, help it turn. The throttle lets you get it a little freer on exit. On new tires in these qualifying rounds, you don't need that. You have enough momentum, you have enough grip in the racetrack and in the tires, and you have enough downforce on it with it being taped up that you don't need to downshift. It actually just slows down between the two shifts.
Right. But in the race, it'll be a different story when you're 2 and 3 wide coming off turn 1.
I messed up, so you don't think about it until race time, but you start downshifting, you use a lot more fuel. I ran out of gas here after I took the white because of it one time.
I've made that calculation as well. See, Junior, you thought I was kidding all those years where I say, listen, I got to know if you're shifting over here. See, he knows it burns more fuel as we see a few other cars try to jump into the top 12. All right there on the red. Almirola. It's kind of surprising. We have the 88 down in 23rd with the 24 all the way up in second. Kyle Larson's just taking the green flag right here, so this will count. Even though it will go to red, this lap will finish.
Yeah, anybody that's trying to start a lap before that clock gets to 0, these laps will count.
Ooh, we got some trending. Dillon and Larson both in the green. I would be concerned if I was Truex of this 42. Not only do the cars look almost identical, the 78 and the 42, looks like they're both have a little bit to go here.
Austin's in turn 3 and 4 with a great lap. These guys got to be thrilled with having this kind of speed with what they've had over the last couple of weeks, couple of months.
That's going to get him in.
That's a great lap.
8th quickest for Austin Dillon. Here comes Larson. Will he also get in?
This will serve Kurt Busch out.
Larson goes 4th quickest on that lap. Kyle Busch right on the line at 12th.
Well, that right there's a good feeling for those guys. But now listen, you know what a good feeling is here at Pocono. I think we have go back and look. I know you remember this race. Tell us how special this day was for you.
Yeah, that was a big one for us. Yeah, to be able to pull that off, and you know, the strategy started a little bit different. We started because we got a flat tire trying to avoid a wreck, and it ended up being perfect situation for us there. Be able to get that first win, be able to get into the chase in our rookie season was pretty special. You know, we had some good runs after that too. We got down to Bristol and ran 5th, and you know, really should have been a little bit better than that day. I mean, we had some times that we showed the racetrack, and we thought we were going to be able to move through, you know, at least decently through that first round. But you know, at the end of the day, it was a very special win here. Still not my favorite racetrack. I love this place, but it's not my favorite just because we got a win. I love Bristol. But I'll give Pocono his dues. It's made me very happy in the past year.
Well, you still got that night race coming up. I want to say thanks for coming down, hanging out in the pit box. It's always great to get a competitor's view during qualifying. You're just on the track. We really appreciate it. Up next, round 3 from Pocono.
A lot of action continuing. The Xfinity Series is in Iowa, and Elliott Sadler, about an hour ago, just won the pole for that race. We'll see if he can outduel Christopher Bell, who's going for 3 wins in a row in the Xfinity Series. You know who the last non-Cup regular to win 3 Xfinity Series races in a row was? Any ideas?
No.
Really?
I don't.
It was 1999.
Oh, me. How damn.
Oh, me. That's exactly right.
Well, I know I won 3 in a row that year.
These are the drivers that did not advance into the final round. Kurt Busch all the way through Casey Kane. Kelly.
And you see there in that 15th position will be Jimmy Johnson. That's his starting spot for your 600th career start here in the Cup Series. A huge milestone on its own. How do you like the car when you get back to in race tomorrow? How much can you guys do to advance?
Yeah, you know, we wish we were starting better for my 600th start. We got one Hendrick car up there towards the top, so I hope the 24 car can pop one off here in round 3. But just so proud of, you know, having all 600 starts in one company, one sponsor. It's just been an honor to drive these cars at Hendrick Motorsports. We're trying to claw our way back right now, and, you know, we'll hopefully race better than we qualified. I was just too loose to really generate lap time there and had a couple big catches on my lap. But to have a couple big catches and be 15th, I mean, I guess you can look at that as, you know, from an optimistic standpoint. But race is important to have the car turning strong, use the throttle a lot around here, and hopefully we're sitting on a better race setup.
There's a lot of debate which of these 3 tricky turns is the most important. What would you say?
The one I just had a problem with, and it changes every lap. So I reserve to keep my options open.
All right, Jimmy Johnson, 3-time winner here.
Jimmy Johnson, again, making his 600th starts. A lot have called him the greatest of all time. 7-time Cup Series champion. Only 3 have been able to do it. 83 career wins, knocking on the door of Allison as well as DW. But this is the one he wants to get rid of. 43 races. It's a career-long streak. Coming up next, it's Xfinity Series Countdown to Green, and then racing in Iowa. Xfinity Series going after it in the Midwest. Already some NASCAR racing taking place right here earlier, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. And before the race started, it was Noah Gragson who was not feeling well, and so he steps out of the truck, and young Eric Jones gets the nod to step in. And so he had not been in that truck at all. No practice, no qualifying. Went out and actually took the lead away from Kyle Busch at one point during the race. But it was Kyle Busch who was able to battle back late in the race, get the win. Kyle Busch's 51st win in the Camping World Truck Series, tying Ron Hornaday for the most wins ever in that series. And Eric Jones going to see him in victory lane. And a little congratulations. Those two had a good race between the two of them. Eric Jones, William Byron. Those two are faster than Kevin Harvick. Eric Jones is 22 years old. William Byron is 20 years old. You add those up, 42 years of experience right there between the two of them. Kevin Harvick, 42 years old.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick, he decided to hit the track immediately. You know, there's not a 5 minutes in this practice, but you would think you could wait a little bit and wait on the track to maybe improve just slightly, but he's going to go on out there and try to make his run immediately.
And then just going really slow right now, just trying to not put any heat in the tires till they have to. Now he's got close to the tunnel turn, so now he's going to take off. See, he's gotten the tunnel turn. He's trying to build speed so he can carry it through turn 3 to have that speed at the start-finish line without hurting the tires by just blasting off a pit road.
You heard him shut the motor off. He's doing that because they had it timed perfectly to be able to run the lap and a half from the tunnel around to take the green and the checkered in the temperature of the engine, so he's trying to save that temperature coming to the tunnel turn.
And Junior, we got a report from Marty Snyder that he was not happy at all with the lap that he made in that second segment. So he feels like there's a lot of speed left in that car if they can make the adjustments that they wanted to make. We're getting ready to find out. That corner looked good.
I think if he runs the kind of lap he wants, he can get in the 80s. You think the car's got a little more than that, 60 or 70?
If it's perfect,
right.
It's got to be perfect.
We'll see how he does in the tunnel turn.
That's exhilarating driving in that coin tunnel turn, man. It's just, it's so much throttle, so much speed. The wall comes flying up at you on corner exit. That looks good. No big wobbles or anything. Looks solid.
So Hamlin runs a 51 flat, more or less. Harvick Harvick has been the one that everyone has judged.
Wow.
50.633 for Kevin Harvick. What a lap.
I'd say he was disappointed with that round 2 run, if he can run that 60 there.
Man, he had that huge.
Great job, guys.
85 for Suarez.
Yeah, good. He had that huge bobble in the first round and still ran a flat. So that's what made me think he might could run a 60 or 70.
Keselowski goes 51 flat as well.
Suarez picked up almost 4 tenths.
That's
a great lap.
What about William Byron? He surprised us in round 2. We'll see what kind of a lap he can put down.
You see the tracker there. He got off turn 3 very well. Kept his speed down the straight, which is huge. It's so important to come to the green well. You can see right there, did not get through 1 as well as Harvick did.
He backed up the entry just a little bit, but couldn't take advantage of it on exit.
Now, this is your corner, Junior.
Getting into the tunnel here. Backs that up as well. Doesn't be able to take advantage of it on exit, so he's not going to be happy with his lap. Probably going to think about how he could have run a better lap, considering what he did in round 2. Not going to make up that 3 tenths down in turn 3 on Harvick.
Still a solid lap.
It is a good lap. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's going to run a 90.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's going to be disappointed.
We didn't think anybody's going to run that, but Harvick. So we got a lot of guys in the 50s.
Chase Elliott was looking good through turn 1, and then obviously a lot of that gone before he got into turn 2, and still not able to gain any of it back through 3. Saw Eric Jones get a little loose.
Big wobble off 1 for Eric Jones. I'm sorry, off the tunnel for Eric Jones.
Austin Dillon, everyone in the red right now. Again, comparing to Harvick for the pole. Kyle Busch in the green, though, to start his lap.
So here he is coming off the corner, off the tunnel turn, and just trying to be in the throttle.
Wow, sideways. Man.
That's digging.
Here's the 18. Mentioned in the green, still in the green. Into the tunnel turn. Can he keep it? Into the red.
Yeah, I was going to say.
All the way quick.
Yeah, into the green before the tunnel. You're going to see several guys maybe do that, but they're still green after the tunnel. Now we're talking.
Well, look at it. Look what's going on.
3 and 4 here.
What's happening?
There he comes back.
Oh, just couldn't carry that speed off through the middle of the corner. Speed was phenomenal.
Second quickest.
He sent it in there and made it work.
Kyle Larson, the last one to take time. And he's going to be at least 0.2 of a second off. Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, that's the guy I picked. Good for my fantasy.
If you have him in your fantasy for winning the pole, congratulations. You just got some extra points. Marty.
High fives around for the number 4 Mobil 1 team, and let's chat with Kevin. Boy, that car's had speed all day long, but did you know it had that much speed in qualifying trim, Kevin?
I mean, it was really just about putting all those corners together. I just hadn't been able to put all the corners together in the first 2 rounds. I still didn't get it all 100% right, but it was a lot closer than it was the first rounds. We just got to thank everybody from Mobil 1, Stewart Haas Racing for doing the cars and everything that they've done all year and really the last 5 years. So everybody from Jimmy John's and Hunt Brothers and Outback and Busch and just everybody who helps on this thing. It's just a lot of fun to be able to drive these cars. And these guys working on this car, I mean, they're just so good at what they do and worry about the details on a week-to-week basis and just don't ever quit and just keep pushing ahead. So that's what it takes. And, you know, this is the regular season, but the regular season can make your postseason go a lot better if you get it right.
There you go, Rick. In his first career pole at Pocono, guess what? He's hoping that first career win at Pocono tomorrow.
It's been elusive, but we'll see if he's going to be able to do it. And we'll also find out, can Elliott Sadler break the winless streak that he is on? He won the pole in Iowa, but Christopher Bell going for 3 in a row. Let's go now to Dave Burns and Dale Jarrett in Iowa.